You heard Usher, you heard Neo name brought up in these court trials and got nothing to do with it. All of these people's names been thrown around in these court cases. And for what? All because it makes them feel good. Now, when you want to get to the case, the actual case of what's going on here, now it comes down to the testimony of the drug mule. So now the drug mule is going to testify. This is playing out like a drama. There's so much money involved in this trial that the city has to pay for. And it's crazy. Now, this one person is supposed to be your main to shut the whole thing down. Here it is. It's all on him. The drug mule. Brendan Paul, former basketball player, now turned drug mule. And he's gonna save the day for the prosecution. He's the main guy. He's white. He's in the studio with Diddy. He's the drug mule. What could the drug mule provide? Well, that's why we're here. Hit the like button up, subscribe to the page so we can get to it. Definitely hit that like button up. So let's get into it. So before the jury comes in, the judge says, Your Honor, or the prosecution says, Your Honor, may I place a binder of the documents of the witness stand? They say, yes, all right. So the jurors come into court and they say, may I call the next witness? And then the government says, first, Ms. Garagos and I would like to introduce some exhibits. So Tenny from Diddy's team come up there and says, all under seal except one. And the judge said, admitted. So the government calls Brendan Paul into the courtroom. And they're like, do you recognize this person in this tuxedo photo? He said, Sean Combs. I worked for him until I was under arrest at Florida airport for possession of cocaine in my personal assistant bag. Why was it there? I was sweeping Mr. Combs' room. How did you come to work for Mr. Combs? Through Revolt. Ellie Markham. He told me, get in to get out. If you have a girlfriend, break up with her. You'll never see her. Did you interview? Late October 2022 at 200 South Mapleton Drive. They said, well, how were you greeted? My ID was scanned and I had to sign a NDA. Frankie Santella and Christina Korm was there, KK. Did they hire you? Yes. I would pack a lot of joints in the garage, marijuana. How did you meet Mr. Combs? KK came to the garage and told me to come to a listening party in the backyard and take notes. What was KK's role? Chief of staff, helped out with the family. Did KK use Mr. Combs' phone? Yes. How many assistants did Mr. Combs have? At first 5, then 4, then 2. Given my college basketball background, I helped with Mr. Combs' workouts. Who is this? Jonathan Perez. And this? Butler Frank Rodriguez. What did Mr. Combs' butler do? Paul stands next to Puff, gives him water, chapstick, whatever he needs. Did you have group chats with KK? Yes. Turn to the binder and flip through it. Who is this? Fahim. We call him Fa. What was your salary? Started at $75K, then $100K. I got paid bi-weekly by Combs Enterprises. Where did you live in an Airbnb in Los Angeles and Miami? Where did KK stay in Los Angeles? An apartment 4 minutes from 200 South Mapleton in Miami and Two-Star Island. Did you accompany Mr. Combs to a paid club appearance? Yes. He would ask for 150K and they'll have to sell things for him. What did you do to stay awake? Took Adderall and sometimes cocaine. What was your job? To make sure Mr. Combs was always happy. He'll say, I don't take no for an answer. He told us to move like SEAL Team 6. Did Mr. Combs fire you? Yes, for forgetting his what's that? Lululemon fanny pack when we went on a walk. He said, I don't want to see your face anymore. Tell KK you are fired. What did you do? Bought a Lululemon fanny pack. Get it in. Lay low. Did you ever complain to HR? No, that wasn't a thing. Why not? HR even forgot to pull my federal taxes for the first 8 months. You just go to Mr. Combs? Did Mr. Combs use drugs? Yes, ecstasy, cocaine, and more. What is in this photo? My hand with ecstasy. Ecstasy, what's that? Ecstasy. And 2C, pink cocaine. Okay, pink cocaine. What did you He said, why did you take this photo? They said to ask staff what to do with it after I found it. I was told to just put it in his bag. Did you buy marijuana for him? Yes. From whom? Phil Pines, Puff like Sunset Sherbert. Who was the other drug dealers Mr. Combs used? One Stop, Guido, Baby Girl. I think it's spelled Odie. Who's that? He said, that's Guido. Is this your chat with Baby Girl? What is happening? He said, Jonathan Perez is introducing me to Baby Girl and asked me, is it for you or Puff? I applied Puff, but tell anyone it's for me. They said, why? Puff is high profile, so we used alias. Did Mr. Combs use Cialis? Yes. We put it in the high stand. Your message to Love Red phone was, what does it mean? I called Puff Love. His red phone was personal, the business phone. And yellow, was it next to you? Oh, that was Xanax. They was like, well, how did you pay for drugs? Cash from the Gucci bag or security, usually Fahim in this text, was his flowers. And they said, well, what's usually going on here? Marijuana. Did you also call it tree? Yes. Here, Fahim tells me I'll get paid back once Duke comes off his shift. Did Mr. Combs have you take drugs? Yes, to test the Tusi. Did you want to take it? I wanted to prove my loyalty. What was Wild King's night? Mr. Combs' significant others, drugs, sex. Did Jane participate in Wild King's night? Yes. Did Mr. Combs' other girlfriends participate in Wild King's night? Not that I'm aware of. Who called them Wild King's nights? KK. I just say he's going to the hotels. Did Mr. Combs stop using hotels and move them into his residency? Yes. after the Cassie lawsuit? What did you do? Clean up after. What does this say? That Jane's coming in. Brendan is setting it up. Wild King's night probable. What did you make? Where did you make the reservation? Nobu. Where was this Wild King's night? At Jane's residence. I wrote, running to Walmart for them. KK asks, Wild King's mode activated or Gucci bag active. What did you say? Between the two? How did you know what to buy for Mr. Combs for Wild King's night? We had shared documents in a notes app. Who was responsible for the Astroglide? The property manager? I didn't think the 200 South Mapleton manager was good, so he said, I took the photo to show the manager how to lay out the Astroglide in the bathroom, how you put it in for cash. He says, Robin at TriStar, did Mr. Combs contact you from Wild King's night? Yes, by voice notes and FaceTime. He called me to go over some sex outfits, but he never called me back. How did you clean up after? I wore gloves. Why? Sanitary reasons. Is this a photo of the day of your arrest? Yes, March 25th, 2024, on a rented jet. The cocaine you were arrested with, was it Mr. Combs? And Brian Steele says, objection. And the judge says, abstain. They was like, was it yours? No. And they said, was it Mr. Combs? They was like, objection. They was like, overruled. He was Mr. Combs. What did you do after arrest? A diversion program, drug treatment. No further questions. So Brian Steele is handling the cross for Diddy's team. So the drug mule comes up and just said what? He gave drugs to Diddy. Now, is doing drugs a crime? What he's saying is he's not selling drugs. You got the guy who's getting him drugs, the assistant, who's known as the drug mule. And he had other people that would provide him drugs, but for his personal use. Is he being charged for doing drugs or selling drugs? Where is the whopping evidence? I'm like, this is it? This is it? This is who you closing with? This is your closer? This is the drug mule that's supposed to throw Diddy away for life? This guy? When they said no further questions, I said, what? You supposed to be the closer? Wow. You talk about a kick in the pants. This was it. So right after this, they turn up the heat. It get even more crazy. Oh yeah, Brian Steele took over. So Brian Steele said, you walked up to play basketball at Syracuse for an iconic coach, right? Yes. You played UNC, right? But COVID ended it, right? Yes. You weren't just a drug mule, were you? They was like, objection. Government, that is objection. They were like, overruled. They want to hear where he going with this. So he said, I was not just that. And then Brian Steele said, it was a minor part of what you did, right? Absolutely. Personal use? And the judge said, rephrase. He said, okay, the hotel nights, was it personal? Judge was like, rephrase. Still's like, it was Combs, Jane, relaxation, and personal. Right? From your observation. Yes. Did you see Jane as hesitant? I did not. If you saw non-consensual activity, would you have worked there? You would have not worked there, right? There was objection, sustained. You would not have worked for a criminal, would you? No. You care about your reputation, right? Yes. You were arrested for 27 games for barely personal use. It was a mistake, right? For 27 grams, my fault. So Brian Steele said you were arrested for 27 grams, barely personal use. It was a mistake, right? Yes. And the case was dismissed. Yes. Did drugs make Sean more focused? He got extremely creative. As you sit here today, are you indebted to Sean Combs? Good experiences for the most part. It was like, no further questions. like, what are we doing here? This drug mule supposed to be the big guy? So they want to come back to reprogram him again. We want to recross. We want to redo it. They was like, did you know what was happening in the Wild Kings things? And they was like, objection. They was like, rephrase it. She was like, well, were you there? No. What did you think about the $5,000 were for? They was like, objection. They was like, sustain. They was like, well, did you give Mr. Combs $5,000 in cash in other contexts? He said, no. You said you wouldn't work for a criminal, but you bought drugs for Mr. Combs. Yes, more than 5 times, less than 10. How did you feel about Mr. Combs? It's complicated. No further questions. They was like, recross? They was like, no recross. Well, he can go. So the drug mule leaves. The drug mule leaves. This was the big guy that was supposed to close everything down for you. So the government said they want to bring up some exhibits now. So they said, we want to bring some exhibits before we call our next witness. And they were like, okay, well, what do you have? They was like, we got KK 42523. I can't take it no more. The album's not done. And KK said, you can't have release after the studio. You can't have a release after the studio. We control our energy. Combs said, whatever. Get me Frank. So they said, play the audio message by Mr. Combs. So they play it, and this Miss Corm, and she replies, John will go to the hotel. We have a bit more, then we request a break. So the judge says, okay. Because what else he's going to do? That's all he's been saying in this trial is okay. So now, Cassie Ventura says, you bashed my head in. And Combs says, you're crazy. Stop talking. Flipping on me for what? We're taking a break. And Miss Ventura says, I don't want to be beaten down or for standing up or ever. And Diddy says, I try to figure out how to get this nut out. Now, Diddy crazy. I'm going to try to figure out how to get this nut out. Still reacting. Miss Ventura, all I wanted was to have a good time, and you took all your anger out on me as per usual. You dragged me down the hall by my hair. This is not play fighting anymore. I was serious about Rita coming over. Then ASUS Boris, they're listening to this audio. Boris had to tackle you. Puff, that's not love. That's possession. I have bleeding cuts. And from Diddy to Cassie, I'm not gonna let someone shit on all of what I've done. It has been nice. You don't treat me like a king. You was acting like a bitch. Yeah, tell her, Diddy. Acting like a bee out here. And now USAA is reading from Cassie to Diddy. Talking to your people and telling you, or they won't, since all they do is suck you. I asked to have my record come out after 1,000,000 years. And then Teeny said, I would like to read a couple of portions from those exhibits, the same exhibits that wasn't in the notes. And they said, may I confer with Mrs. Garagos? So they come over there, and Aiden Johnson come over there, they talk, and the judge said, oh, we're going to need a break. So they come back from the break, right, and they start reading notes. So Tenny says, I want to read you the next page. Miss Victoria saying, I love our FO freak offs when we both want them. And the judge said, they are in evidence, but for some reason we are just reading these to the jury. There was no objection by the defense. They say this leaves a prejudicial impression with the jury. They say, what's your basis for what you want to do? We didn't want they say, we didn't know they were going to read portions. And the judge said, you just want to read the 4 messages? And she says, yes. And the judge said, I think it's fair for the defense to read the 4 messages. And the government said, I didn't intend to be misleading. So if your court is saying these 4 should be read, I should be the one to read them. The government, I swear to God, is the most manipulating. This is probably the most manipulating 5 women on a prosecution team I've ever seen. They are so egregious in what they're doing. They came in and read these things to the jury, and the judge is like, well, Tenny's like, well, then I'm going to read some stuff. And they was like, well, you didn't object to this before. He's like, we didn't know they were going to be reading portions out to the jury. He's like, we didn't know that. If we'd have known that, we would have objected if we known that they were going to read this stuff to the jury. We didn't know, so we want to read our 4 messages. So now the government said they want to read the 4 messages. We didn't know we were being misleading. Oh my God. And this dumbass judges keep falling for this. And they said, he said, well, fine. Now we'll take a break. So the government comes in again and says, let me read again. I've read the wrong versions. Miss Ventura to Mr. Combs, you want to party and have a good time. I have to focus or I'm ever becoming anything. You treat me like a hooker for 10 years. I love our freak offs when we both want it. The government calls Joseph Saricoliolo of Homeland Security Investigations. 18 years. How many records have you reviewed for the charts of this trial? Thousands. They said, what is the only female name in this chart? Jane. Turn off the public screens. They do that. And they said, all these exhibits must provide by Monday, June 23. No time will be given and the court will be punished. They said, what is the name of this hotel? And they said Soft Beach, Field Pines, 522, 23, 21, right? $3,050.90 for one night. And they said in this flight, this flight is by Jane by JetBlue from New York to Miami. And with the public screens off, they played the Instagram video. And they said, what does this metadata match up? Does this match up with everything? And this person says, yes. So the HSI person says, right on. So the government says, what's the name? Jessica Ruiz, Mr. Combs' travel agent. What were these charges for? Losses and damages. They said, who flew on this one? Jane and Cabral. June from LA to Miami to LA. And Cabral, Atlanta. So they start showing the flights, right? And they're going back and forth about exhibits that are not being shown to the public. So Jane's message to the prosecutors just blatantly made available, saying, you want a party going before the weekend and getting down? You want a party? And they said, what is this? They said, it's the hotel damage report in London, room 229. The report says bodily fluid spread on the floor, pictures attached as evidence, names in columns. And they said, names in columns. Jane, Combs, Reggie, Paul, Cabral. Then they said, and what's going on with these? They said between Paul Arthur, Diddy, and Jane at Arthur Fitness LLC. A ATM cash amount of $900, then $600, and this is more hotel damages. Fahim's cell phone was seized. And then Tenny said, Your Honor, take that one down. Public couldn't see it. They said, can we please have a sidebar? And the judge said, take it down, and yes. They go up there and they have a talk. So the message is like, I'm crying. I'm so triggered by this because I was too close to some nights. I felt forced. Please stop drugging and using women for your fetish nights. It creates demons inside of us and real trauma to women who are only doing it to please you. Let that pain and other women stop with me. Leave women alone who don't want to be in those nights with you. Hire prostitutes and stop eventually harming women that love you. Then it says, and then they cover it up. And here she comes again with another one. This is another Jane message where she's citing Young Miami and Gina. You want me to suck some D so you can jet off to an island with Gina or Young Miami. And having me do dirty shit in hotel rooms after hotel rooms. So anyway, they come back due to a stop in 3 minutes, right? They said, did Jonathan Perez send this to Fahim? They said, the HSS says yes. And what is this about? Antoine, it's a sordid date. Please sort it, Becker. At the end of the day, prosecutors just belated made available exhibits, including this from Diddy. I'm not even horny no more. Why is this even in here? I'm not even horny no more. You didn't ruin it. Who sent this? KK. What does Jonathan write to Fahim? He says, I don't know if you're holding 10,000, trying to get some more now. And this, Your Honor, I think this is a good stopping place since we're ending earlier today. They said, the juror said, you may leave. Do not read anything. All rise. They said, how many more on direct? And Ms. Comey says, to midday or on Monday. I hope Tenney can finish cross by the end of Monday. And then they said, then Rule 29, Mr. Aglafino, and he says, we'll be on the shorter side. We'll tell the government over the weekend. So Mr. Agnifino says the government will rest at the end of Monday. I think we'll rest Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll send the proposed charges today. You can send your edits. Tuesday evening, we could do the charge conference on Wednesday. And closings on Thursday. They say you can use the courtroom until 2:30. Mr. Donaldson, if you need it, put it in the writing application in the docket. So they're going through the whole docket. So court is adjourned. So the whole court is adjourned. That was it. So the days are getting shorter and shorter in the court. Today was a big nothing burger. Only thing they proved is that this is more of a relationship. The drug mule only got Diddy drugs 4 or 5 times. He's admitted to that. So what kind of drug mule is him? Is all he did was give Diddy drugs 4 or 5 times. This is what I mean. They thought his only job there was to get drugs from Diddy. That was just a small part of what he did. 4 to 5 times. And I'm like, we're dealing with this HSI person who's just going over text messages that don't mean anything. When she was sending those messages, she was already talking to the feds. You could tell you're using this to set me up. And they were like, keep talking, keep talking. Nobody talks like that in a conversation. It's like the text messages she's sending at that point is not the text messages we seen up front. Cassie was loving the free calls. She was loving the free calls. She just wanted to just do everything for Diddy because she loved Diddy because he was paying her bills. Everyone can see that's what this is about. So the fact that most people can't see where it's going, and yeah, it's a little different. Well, as the years go by, people get older and don't realize it, that the time goes by and you're aging, you're getting faster. So when these women hit to a certain, they get to a certain level, you would say. Right. They get into a certain age, and mostly women, they start reacting different. They start changing things up. Well, there's always going to be a difference, you know. Hmm. Well, there's so many different levels to say the least. And when you start saying levels, you're saying things that people might not believe is true, or they might believe it's true. You never know. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain is people are making changes in the way they do things, in the way they proceed moving forward. So, no, I don't see Sean Diddy Combs as a guilty man. I see him as an innocent man. I see Sean Diddy Combs as a man who knows the difference between right and wrong. I see him as a flawed man who, in a relationship, he do drugs, he does all these different things. That's always been his MO. He lived a lifestyle that many in Hollywood are living at this very moment in time, and they know it. Some and from New York, they live this lifestyle, and you never went and got them. All you did was let them go into the dark and be quiet, talking filmmakers, everything, and they know it. Celebrities, they know it. They know this lifestyle exists, and they know they've been in it. All of these people said, "Hey, I got you. Don't even worry about it." I mean, seriously, that's what they said. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. I got you. Now, something went wrong in the process, and somewhere down the line things got crossed. So when things got crossed, it went into a different range. And when it went into a different range, that's when people started to make their own decisions on what they wanted to do, how they should do it, and how they proceed about going through life. Diddy is not a perfect man. I'm not defending Sean Diddy Combs. I'm defending the charges against him as fraudulent. His behavior is his behavior. You know, you don't have to champion someone's behavior. Yeah, Amber Rose was at those parties with Diddy, and she was around Kanye and all of them at the time when Cassie was there. So she was around all these situations, but she never saw anything like a freak off like they're making it. I don't look at Amber Rose as attractive anymore. I see her as an old lady, really, and who looks weird and dressed weird. You would think she has an album out and says, okay, well, what does she do? All she did, Amber Rose, was make other hoes. and like I'm gonna manage you to be a hoe to put you with these other celebrity men. So she was gonna be a Heidi Fleiss of Hollywood. So it was like, well, what is it that she do? Oh, I got my slut walk. I do this and that. Be proud to be a slut. It's like, so my thing is, why are you there? How is that gonna help the country? Why are you working in the White House or with the White House? Like, why did they bring you out to speak? No, the so-called drug mule, he wasn't even there for the freak offs. So he said, right? As far as a comeback, Diddy's done. Like anything he'll do will have to be in the background for the rest of his life. I mean, they avoided you like the plague now. And this was just off the accusations. They didn't support you in the trial. Not one of them showed up. None of them. So your pastor, all of them just stood away from you when they know they as guilty as the South. These are the people you partied with and everything else. There's been other celebrities that have gotten down like that and went to these places where all these other celebrities are watching adult film stars get down. It's not a problem for none of these dudes. I didn't like it. I had a problem with it back then. I still had a problem with it like now, today. Wiz Khalifa, that's his fault for being stupid. If Kanye, that tells you one or two things. She ain't no good. She ain't no good. If he got away from her, what does that tell you? If Kanye West got away from Amber Rose, and he's one of the freakiest dudes in the game. To say Kanye West only cares about Kanye West is an understatement. Now, would Kanye be called in as a witness when they've had Kid Cudi come in for the prosecution who batted nothing, just made himself look like a sucker more than he already did? And she played Cudi, played him against, Diddy. hmm People have to make their own amends. You can't make it for them. You feel me? Well, Revolt, he sold his connection with Revolt was gone. Right when the drug mule got arrested. When they did the raid and all that, it was gone. And Justin Bieber is gone and all this stuff, and they brought in Lil Wayne name was thrown around. I don't even know why it was in trial. Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan, Young Miami, Usher. You heard all these people throwing names, celebrity names around. They even brought up Barack Obama. I'm like, what? Now he's into the freak offs? Right. And then this guy coming out talking about he was a former assistant of Diddy's and on this documentary. I tell people all the time, make it make sense. That's all you got to do. All you have to do is make it make sense. If we're going to look at this from a realistic standpoint, we have to make it make sense. If we're not, then that's it. Well, you always want to make it make sense, right? Mm. No, not really, bro. Yeah, I watched BMF. I didn't watch the new episode yet. I was busy doing stuff. Oh yeah, they got all different type of implications that's in the works, but we'll see what it read. But at the end of the day, though, did the prosecution are they doing enough to convict? Are they doing enough to convict Diddy? Absolutely not. There's no case here. It's a case to they spent all this money to humiliate him publicly, but there's nothing here to really say, okay, there's racketeering, there's drug trafficking, and I think they didn't want to. Even if he's found innocent of anything, the public humiliation was something he can never come back from because this is the court of public opinion and people are found guilty in that. I mean, hell, they got Justin Bieber as a victim and he ain't been a victim. Diddy's. He got nothing to do with it. Diddy, man, what he did to Justin Bieber. I be like, what he did to Justin Bieber, that's not even in the case. That's the internet trying to make Justin Bieber a victim. I don't listen to people like Whack 100 and all that. Whack 100 don't know Diddy, ain't never been around Diddy, don't know nothing. Okay? Stop listening to people like him. By now, if you figured it out by now, he don't know what the hell he talking about. Yeah, I saw a tape with Diddy. Yeah, I got the tape. You ain't got no tape. I didn't see videos of Cassie way before this trial kicked off. We talking about 10 years ago, or probably longer than that. Because 10 years ago, shoot, that's like 2015. So you know it was longer than that. We talking about 15 years ago. We didn't see Cassie getting down. And for us, it seemed like she was loving every minute of it. Now, why didn't they subpoena Christina Coram? If this was all, her name was thrown around in the court and they had everybody and their mama say KK, Christina Coram all through this trial. Why hasn't she been one of the witnesses that they subpoenaed to take the stand? Why didn't they have enough to charge Christina Coram? So if you don't have enough evidence to charge Christina Coram for a crime, how you got enough to charge Diddy? Mm-hmm. That's right. I'm looking at these dudes saying this damn BS. They sending me all this information that don't mean nothing. It don't add up to anything. And that's why they lose. So anyway, I see Diddy continuing on being Diddy. I don't see nothing to change here in this whole case. I really seeing him. I don't think if you get a guilty verdict, how? How? All of this is consensual. There's no force. There's nothing. This is just a public tar and feathering of a black man through the court legal system. I'm out. I'm gonna get my Patreon ready to go, and I'm gonna holler at y'all later.